All right, welcome. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the heart of the seventh part of the Qur'an, using the wonderful commentary Khulasatul Qur'an as our guide.
So, the whole idea behind this work is to make the Quran's wisdom accessible to literally everyone. It breaks down these huge, profound messages into summaries that are clear and easy to connect with.
So, what are we really going to find here? What are the big takeaways for our lives, our faith, and even our future? Well, let's jump right in and explore everything from practical daily rules to these really profound stories of faith.
So, first up, we're starting with some really practical day-to-day rules. These are things that shape the life of a believer by focusing on steering clear of activities that are harmful not just to you, but to the whole community. Okay, so the first thing the Quran zeroes in on is this concept called macer. Now, what is that exactly? It's basically a catch-all term for gambling and any game of chance, where money just changes hands without any real work or value being created. And wow, the scripture doesn't mince words here. It's incredibly clear. It lumps all these things together, calling them a defilement and straight up the work of Satan. The message is simple. Stay away from this stuff if you want to find a real success.
So just to recap, we've got these four major no-nos from that verse: intoxicants, gambling, idolatry, like sacrificing on altars, and superstitions, like using divining arrows. The commentary really highlights why this is so important. It's all about protecting society from hatred, arguments, and getting distracted from remembering God.
All right, moving on from what's forbidden, let's talk about something we all do: making promises. This next part is all about how our words have real weight and carry a huge amount of responsibility.
It's interesting because not every single oath is put under the same microscope. The Quran makes this really important distinction. God isn't going to hold you accountable for something you say by accident, but for those promises you make on purpose with your whole heart, well, that's a different story. And this is where we see this really beautiful system of redemption, right? If you do break a serious promise, it's not the end of the world. There's a clear path to make things right, and it's called kafara. And notice the pattern here. It's all about helping others first, feeding or clothing people, before it turns to a personal act of worship like fasting.
Okay, so we've talked about rules. Now let's switch gears to one of the most powerful ways the Quran teaches, through stories. It's not just a rule book. It's filled with these incredible histories of people who came before us.
I mean, just listen to this. This verse paints such a vivid picture of people of faith, like Jews and Christians, who hear the Quran and are just moved to tears. Why? Because their hearts instantly recognize the truth in it. It speaks to that universal human experience of finding something divinely true.
And then, of course, we have the powerful story of Prophet Abraham. Here's a man who had the courage to stand up and question everything, to challenge his own family and community about worshiping statues they carved themselves. It's a timeless lesson in choosing truth over blind tradition.
Now this number, 18, what's so special about it? Well, it's pretty amazing, actually. In this one section of the Quran, you find the names of 18 different prophets. Think about that. It's this huge signal that the message of one God isn't some new idea. It's an aha moment, showing that this faith is part of a long, unbroken chain of guidance that stretches back through all of human history.
So we've covered rules and we've looked at history, but this part of the Quran goes even deeper. It really gets into the nitty-gritty of what faith actually is, what it means to truly believe and to see the signs of God in the world. So check this out. There's this fascinating story about the disciples of Jesus. They go to him and ask for a miracle, something they can see and touch, a whole feast sent down from the heavens just to make their faith feel more solid. Jesus warns them, but their request leads to a huge lesson about miracles and the responsibility that comes with them. And now we arrive at the climax. The narrative shifts and takes us to, well, the most significant moment you can imagine. A conversation on the day of judgment itself. This is all about ultimate accountability. I mean, this has to be one of the most powerful, goosebump-inducing dialogues in the entire Quran. Imagine the scene. God asks Jesus directly in front of everyone, "Did you tell people to worship you and your mother?" And Jesus' answer? It's just pure humility and truth, immediately setting the record straight about his real message. And his final plea is just, wow. It's the ultimate act of submission. He doesn't argue. He doesn't bargain. He simply puts the fate of his followers entirely in God's hands, confirming that God alone has the perfect wisdom and power to judge. What a powerful end to his story. So as we wrap this up, you can really see the genius of it all, right? This section of the Qur'an gives you this complete blueprint for a life of purpose. You get practical rules, lessons from history, deep dives into faith, and a reminder of our final accountability. It kind of leaves us with a big question to think about for ourselves.
We really hope this breakdown gave you some valuable insights and was beneficial for your understanding.
And just as a reminder, everything we've talked about today comes straight from this fantastic commentary, Khulasatul Qur'an, which was written by Maulana Muhammad Ilyas Guman. So, if you want to keep digging deeper and explore more content like this, definitely go check out the Ummah 360 app. You can find it on both the Play Store and the App Store. Thanks so much for joining us.